Okay, if you've watched any of our covering videos, this is kind of old hat by now. I'm taking a paper towel and I'm just rubbing Vaseline onto the frame here. Left a giant glob right there. I don't really want that. And with that, it's all done. Alright, so a note now about your covering strategy. This frame is big enough to cover 2 complete airplanes at once. So you need to make a decision. Do you want to build 2 airplanes now, or do you want to get another stick of wood and glue a crossbar across here exactly across the center line so that you can preserve half of your covering down here? Because what we've done is we've supplied you with enough covering to cover 2 complete frames of this, and then that would actually be enough to cover 4 airplanes. So, like I said, this is your point to make that break. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go get the flying surfaces. We're going to break them loose from their sheets, and then we're going to have a brief discussion about putting adhesive on them. Okay, so we're going to clear off smooth, clean area on our table here. We're going to unroll some of our covering film here. Now this is OS film, so it's very, very thin, and so you have to respect that it's quite fragile. You don't want to tear it or anything like that. Actually, alright, you want to roll over like that? Fine, we'll let you do that. So you just want to very carefully unravel this covering film. Make sure it's not tearing at the edges or anything. Typically it won't, but in long-term storage some weird stuff can start to happen. Now, at this point, you have got a couple of options. One is you can spread the covering out as it is. The other is you can crinkle it. And so by crinkling it, first of all, let me make sure we know how much of this we're going to put out here. Alright, so about yay much. And I've got Vaseline on my hands, not a good idea. Alright, so I'm going to show you crinkling the film because I think it, if nothing else, it looks better. It does give you a slightly better covering job. So you need to have very, very clean hands when you do this. And mine are not clean enough because the film is sticking to them somewhat. Our goal here is just to wad the film up very gently like this. Now it looks like we're making an absolute mess of it. And you heard a pop there. I'm hoping I did not put a hole in the covering, because you can do that if you get like an air pocket in here. Everything looks like it's okay. Now the film usually will spread a little bit better. There we go. There we go. Now at this point, take our covering frame. Again, you want to make sure you're not wasting covering. This way you have some excess for if you mess up something or what have you. Now ideally you want to also do this operation over a piece of foam or something that you're not concerned about scraping, because this is the hard part, is you need to come in here, let's see, here we go, like that. We need to come in here with a razor blade, and we want to very, very gently drag it across this film here. And as you can see already, this razor blade's not up to the task, and it's already tearing the film. Let's see if this one over here is sharp enough to not tear the film. Nope. This is the part I hate most about covering. Stop it, you stupid thing. So at this point, I'm trying to just tear along that score line, which is apparently a rather worthless score line because it's not. There we go. There we go. So some of it's working okay at least. There we go. Maybe. Alright, so this part we can go ahead and lift away. And we'll just look around here. We'll try and gently tighten this down. You don't want it super tight. You want it to be decent. Nothing special though. We're just looking for a nice pretty covering job on this guy. And that's it. And there we go. So we'll set that aside for a minute. Bring back in your tissue paper, because remember you've got some extra covering here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to roll this back up like so. This captures the end of the film in there, so you're not hunting for it and tearing film. So you just roll that all back up in there. Take a piece of painter's tape and secure it all back together. All done there. Okay, so we've got our covering here. We're going to set this aside. I still haven't sprayed the adhesive on my flying surfaces, so I'm going to go do that. Like I said, there's a video in the description that explains to you my procedure for doing that. And the weather is very, very cruddy out right now, so I'm not even gonna try to record that part. Alright, at this point you have all of these flying surfaces here. And what we can do is we can go ahead and get those ready to cover. There's a video, so I'm not going to show spraying the adhesive on this. We have a video, it'll be linked down in the description for how to spray these. For the fin, You're going to want to just kind of mask this off so that you only get adhesive in this area right here, because you don't want to get it all over the rest of it. It's messy, adds weight, etc. So just get glue in this area. Okay, so what we're going to do now, notice this way that I've got these flying surfaces arranged. I've got about 1/4 of an inch, an 1/8 of an inch between the wing and the stab. I've got my fin sitting over here. And so what I'm going to do is I want to preserve the rest of this covering for another airplane. Is I'm going to just center everything up down here. Just like that. And typically you would want to use like a paintbrush for this. I've got just a piece of wood that that's fairly soft, or you can even use a finger. And just work your way around here. Or that works too. Lots of different ways. We just want to make sure that the film is all the way stuck down everywhere here. And there we go. Make sure it's stuck to the ribs too. After you've done all the outlines, you can gently come around here like this. Alright, so at this point, take a moment to admire how beautiful and drum tight your covering is. Now we're going to lift all this up, and I'm going to just set. Don't use a roll of tape like this, because if there's any mistakes made, you'll get it stuck to it. But for me, I'm just going to go ahead and do this and take the calculated risk. And so I'm using a 30-watt soldering iron. Remember, if you do this, your soldering iron is not going to be usable for a whole lot else, as I have learned. And so that's got that cut loose. We're going to melt all our excess back against here. I'm going to leave a little tab right here as I work my way around. And we'll go ahead and we're going to leave a little bit extra. We're going to leave it attached there at the very end. And go ahead and cut a slot all the way down here. Leave it alone at the end again. So I've got still some film attaching it right there. Come across here like so. Respect the tab. Leave another tab right there. And at this point I can cut the rest of the stabilizer completely loose there. So it's just held on at the corners. We'll do the same thing here. I'm going to come in, still leave a little bit of a tab right there. Cut my wing loose all the way around here. I'm leaving a tab at that corner again. And now I'm going to work my way in and out. Let it go. There we go. And got a spot here that's. Oh, And don't do what I just did, which was to put a gaping hole in my covering. So now we will get to have the first ever J&H Aerospace video on patching film. In the meantime, we'll get this guy out of here. Alright, since I made that mistake, I'm going to show you how to fix it. Okay, this is 3M77 dissolved in xylene, and it's about at a 30-to-1 ratio or something like that. It's greater than 10-to-1, I know that. So I'm going to lay this guy down over here. Actually, let me snip. Wait a minute. Here we go. This is how I want to do it. I'm going to use that corner right there. So this is just on the corner of the film. Before I do that, I'm going to see if I can just tear off this little bit of film that's out here on the tip, because it's no longer particularly useful to me. Don't have to do this, but there we go. So now I'm going to dip some of this on here. I'm just using a piece of balsa at this point. And it wicks into everything, which is great. And now it is sealed all the way around. Pull this edge in here a little bit. There we go. And that covering is actually sitting a little loose on there because of the solvents and whatnot. That's okay. You can see, not perfect. Oh well. I seldom get to have perfect airplanes. Okay, so take your dihedral jig here. Before we put the flying surfaces into it, what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of squish the spars here outboard of the ribs. You want the so you're doing it just on the outside of each rib. Up here on the front, you're basically squishing the glue joint. Now, at this point, you should be able to flex those up, like so. They have a little bit of resistance, they should at least. That one actually let go, that's alright. And now we're going to face this forward like that. And we're going to take some straight pins and we're going to pin this all in place. So you've got a center line marker, and that's for the center line rib, not the eventual center line of your wing itself. So like that. And we'll do the same thing out here. And then we'll kind of flip this guy up. So we're going to repeat over here. And now that we've got that in, we've got these little gaps for our ribs, so we can, if we're really careful, we can wick some glue in here without bonding the wing to the frame. You want to make sure that the glue actually gets into the joint that you've cracked loose, or the spar or whatever, and not onto just a surface that has covering on it. And the reason for that is that if you just get it where there's covering, you're not going to actually succeed in doing anything. On this side, I unfortunately appear to have already, nope, I'm going to send a pin flying. I've got glue between, there we go. So let's use that. Sorry, I'm out of camera frame, I know. Right. Now, up here we've got this nonsense going on. There we go. Now, at the same time, before we even take this out of here or do anything further, I'm going to dip the other end of this stick back into my diluted K777 xylene solution. And I'm just going to dip it right here on the outside of this rib, and that takes up all of the slack that's there. Gives you a perfect covering job again. And there we go. So we'll hit all of those corners with some CA accelerator, and we should be good to go. Oops. Stop that. Perfect. I hit this just to make sure that it fully bonds through. But at this point, make sure we're not stuck. We are stuck right here. There we go. And with that, there's your Ministick wing. A very nice one at that. Alright, repeat the same procedure with your horizontal stab. Squishing at the glue joints again, outboard of the ribs. Bendy, bendy, bendy. Now this one, as our stab cord is so much smaller than our wing cord, we're just going to do this arrangement back here. So again, we line up on the center line mark. And this guy right here. Do the same thing over here. And so, same arrangement. Glue all those up. And I got glue in there again because I'm an idiot. There we go. And almost forgot, before we cure all of those, take up the slack. There we go. And that's got that complete. And pop all the pins back out here. This guy is stuck right. Oh, no, it's not. Not stuck at all. And all our joints are holding correctly. Okay, so we've got our wings here, wings and tail, and we just want to do a quick span check to make sure they're legal. And so, horizontal stab, we're measuring from the tips, all the way from the tips. And so, that is under 7 inches wingspan, about 6 7/8. And now we'll check the wing. Same story there. Yep. So flying surfaces are legal. Now don't let your ruler go too far because we're also going to do that next on our fuselage assembly.